I'm A.G. Billy, and I have the great pleasure and honor to interview Mr. KENITH Trodd, a legendary personality in the British film and television landscape. He's won a BAFTA Alan Clark Award for Outstanding Creative Achievement, and this year he's a member of the jury at the Romania International Film Festival. What drew you to film and television in the first place?
I wasn't drawn so much as being drawn in, because I had started a career as an academic, and I spent 2 years teaching in universities in West Africa, and came back to continue the career in the conventional way by getting a job in the university in England. And suddenly a friend of mine who I'd been with at Oxford University rang me and said, will you come into the BBC with me? And I said, well, is there a job? And he said, well, I'll try it. And I said, why do you need me? And he said, I probably can't use the word, but it was very vivid. He said, because I can't stand these people I'm with. I want somebody who I can feel comfortable with. So you come in. It was a time when things were expanding.
What year was it?
It was the late 60s, and I remember describing afterwards that the atmosphere was that, there were new channels, there was a lot of vitality about, and they gave you a box of matches and you could light fire. If it didn't burn the building down, you could light another. There was a spirit of enterprise and doing new things. And I quite rapidly linked up with a writer called Dennis Potter, although I was working always with a lot of other people as well. And we went ahead in a way that now seems turbulent and troubled, but compared to the situation as it is in today's world, it's like a golden age, which is a cliche, that word, golden age. And you look back and you think, why didn't we take more risks than we did, But I also look back and think we were always in trouble, even in this golden age. We were always doing things that they didn't like, and then you fought, and they did like them reluctantly, and you carried on.
Did producers and writers, all the people involved, had more freedom back then to explore?
I think they did. I mean, it wasn't expressed, because, there was always a management which had its own job to do. I have to say it was probably one of my colleagues who formed this phrase. He said, what we're going to do is to give them the courage of our convictions, which is a very good idea. And of course you can only do that if you are in their terms successful as well as your own. So things developed in that spirit. I suppose I'm a producer who is not, although you have to do it, I'm not primarily feeling at my best when I have to raise money, which of course is a very important part of the job, and you do it when you have colleagues who help you. Where I feel happiest is when I'm working with other creative people, with the actors, with the writers, and with the director, and that's kind of collaboration, which is a very important part of the producer's job. And there was a period when I was still working with Dennis Potter when he had this idea that he'd had me and he had another producer who was an American. He said, between you are the ideal combination to work on my work. And we thought, okay. But he was wrong, because producers are rivalrous. And it wasn't a question of I'll do that, you do that. You're so competitive that it causes conflict rather than harmony.
Everybody wants to be creative today.
Yes, it's also a kind of it's a treacherous term, creativity, because I can't tell you what it is.
Okay.
I mean, you recognise it when you see it, but people want to express their creativity, and I think this is a danger that quite a lot of people, quite often directors, feel they have a right to be in the profession for the purpose of their self-expression. Well, we all have things to express from our inner self, but it depends entirely on whether the world also feels it's worth their listening to what you are working out in terms of your own conflicts. So there has to be a judgment standard for creativity which people generally can accept. It's never me saying I'm a genius, because the media will turn around and say, well, we don't think you are. You have to fight for a sort of balance between your confidence and your ambition and listening to the way it's accepted.
Is creativity something you are born with, or something that you can acquire in time?
It's a very good question. My sense is that it's, in terms of the population and people's ambitions, it's not infinite. That there are people who have it, and there are people who may think they have it, and it isn't always there. But as against that, I think there is a question which, if you go into any street in the world and you ask 100 people a certain question, 98% of them will say, yes, I'd rather be in show business than in my own job. The pull of wanting to do the kind of things that we do, and quite often it's painful, as working in a steelworks. People believe that they have an aspiration to do that kind of work, and they have something to contribute. But
I think everybody is born with a gift.
Yes, it's a question of what the gift is.
Yeah, the idea is to find it and to pursue a career in this area.
Yes, but, not everybody is born equal. There is a struggle, there is an inequality. and it's competitive, and there has to be a sense of this has more value than that. But at the same time, it's even more complicated than that, because there are some things which are purely commercial, which you and I maybe would not value that highly, but they're extremely important because they make, they grease the wheels of commerce, and one can't be disdainful about those things.
What do you look into when you're watching a movie as a judge in a festival?
Well, I'll tell you, it's not what you meant. The worst thing, or it's not worse, but it's pointless, is seeing a film after you've made it, when you can't go back. If you're a professional, it's very hard, it is for me anyway, to see very many things, even newspapers, let alone novels. It depends on the movie. I mean, it can be the subject matter, it can be the acting, it can be the combination of all the things that go to make it, or it's something that transfixes you, or it can be curiosity. But in the end, the decision to watch anything is a matter of, am I going to devote this time of my life to giving attention to this particular thing? During
your career, you won many awards.
I try not to be that conventional about success and ambition, but it's very hard. Because I can remember a long time ago, Dennis Potter and I did a series called Pennies from Heaven, and he said, at a time when I felt not very confident about it, he said, this will be an award-winning piece of work. And he was trying to boost my confidence. Well, and he said, I bet you £100 it will win an award immediately. And in fact, it did win an award, and I knew it was going to win an award. And my way of dealing with his insistence was to deliver the £100 in pennies in front of the princess of the royal family, who didn't know what's in this bag. And you think, well, it's a joke of saying, you won the bet, now take the money. And he also said, I don't care what award it is. It can be an award in North Korea, but it's an award. It becomes an award-winning film. So it's a kind of target, but equally, there are things you make which don't win awards, and you feel more protective about those because you love them. There's not many other people do, maybe. So it's a great privilege to do it, and one should be very grateful for the privilege, and not take it for granted, not get up in the morning and say, oh my God, I've got to think about films, because it's a compulsion anyway. I mean, we're very lucky to be able to exercise.
What do you think when you wake up in the morning?
I don't always think about films. Sometimes you wake up and you think, why can't I sleep for longer? What anxiety is it that's making me wake up? Why can't I relax? And those things. But the pressure to be, I suppose, intense and not to be relaxed, and not to take life easily, and not think that the next thing that's going to come up is going to be the most important thing, and that feeling of responsibility. That isn't the best way to treat yourself, but in a way you don't have a choice. I mean, if you're that kind of person. And I'm wrong, because life has to be a series of different kinds of experiences and pleasures, and it can't all be about anxiety. And I think a lot of people in our business are perhaps too anxious. I've never made anything and known it was going to be a success. You have different feelings about different pieces, but you can never know in advance what the audience is going to feel. And if you make an assumption, I'm going to win something for this, or I'm going to earn this, or that many people are going to love it, you'll certainly be wrong. And it's always the wrong decision. You must really do it because you care about it, and hope that the audience out there is going to agree with you. You can't make a film like a pie, and it's the product of the human spirit that evolves and that changes, and it's unpredictable. It's a kind of magic.
But still you have the audience in mind when you do something.
You have to, but you can't only have the audience in mind. You have to do it out of yourself. I remember somebody once saying to me, there's no point imitating other people, you must play it off yourself. And I thought, what does that mean? And I realised it's actually an image from the game of cricket. You have a bat and you play it off yourself. You're exposed, you're the individual, and you have to trust what's inside you that it's going to see you through.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.